Hello everyone, my name is Jack and this is Homebrew Heroes, where I share with you all some homebrew content for the game Dungeons & Dragons. Today, in celebration of the release of Pokemon Sword and Shield, I'm going to show you all another cool way to bring Pokemon into your adventures. In my previous Pokemon video, I went over some homebrew that lets you fight and play as these deadly critters. But in this newest guide, you can now play with Pokemon in a brand new way. This is Pokemon Inspired Weapons and Items, which is written by Forster Designs and drawn by Rebusalpa. If I mispronounced that wrongly, don't worry, I'm going to mispronounce every single item from this list. These two have managed to convert each Pokemon into an item or weapon that could be wielded by your players. Instead of catching a Rattata or Raticate in the wild, maybe you find their weapon counterparts, Rattata and Raticleave, which are much more effective than their original forms. This is an ongoing project, as they've only crafted Pokemon-based items from the first 4 generations, and they just started on Gen 5. But they haven't left anyone behind from those generations, unlike some projects. I won't go over every single item and weapon, but I'll be filling out my team of 6 Pokemon-based items to take with me on my quest to become the very best, and become the new champion of the Barova region. If you're interested in this guide, the link to it can be found in the description below. With that said, let's begin. Just like any Pokemon game, I need to start off my adventure with a starter Pokemon. I could start off with the original 3 starters, Bulbastaff, Charmander, or Scorchstaff, but for me, I'll choose my very first Pokemon when I started playing Pokemon with Pokemon Sapphire, which is Mudkip. This is an uncommon hand axe that lets you breathe underwater and grants you +1 bonus slashing damage if you're under half hit points. This is similar to Mudkip's Torrent ability in the games, which boosts water attacks when Mudkip's HP is low. But I can't stick around using this hand axe forever, and fortunately, I won't have to. Pokemon items can evolve, transforming into stronger and crazier weapons. If an item can evolve, the item will state the requirements needed to evolve. The DM can also choose when an item evolves, either through character progression or during a tough fight. For Mudkip, it can evolve if it remains in the elemental plane of water or in the Swamp of Oblivion for a year, evolving it into a Marshchop. Marshchop is a +1 rare battle axe that ignores disadvantage when being used underwater, and creatures hit by this axe suffer disadvantage on their next attack roll. In order to evolve Marshchop, it must stay in the elemental plane of water or in the Swamp of Oblivion for a full decade. That's quite a long time for a weapon upgrade, but just like in the Pokemon games, you can always try to find an evolved Pokemon in the wild, in a gambling hall, or in a trade with another player. Regardless of your method, you'll want to try to evolve it, because its evolution could bring a whole world of Swampert down upon your enemies. Swampert is a very rare +2 dual blade sword, which is a special type of martial melee weapon that carries over its previous form's abilities, plus a swim speed of 40 feet, and a bonus 1d6 slashing damage when you're under half hit points. It comes with a description of how dual blade swords works, which is similar to 2-weapon fighting, but it requires a whole lot of concentration to wield it. Some items, however, don't end at their 3rd stage of evolution. Several items can be fused together to make fusion items. Most of them, like the Great Sword of Raging Disaster, takes 2 Pokemon items together and combines them to make a devastating item. There are even cases of fusion items that require 3 or more items to make. Swampert can be fused with Aerodactyl, the scimitar based on Aerodactyl, to make the Blades of Swamp and Stone. This legendary +3 dual blade sword takes all of Swampert's abilities and combines them with Aerodactyl, which causes enemies that uses resource points like key points or sorcery points to use an additional charge to activate their effects. It doesn't state how you can obtain a fusion item, but I'm sure the DM can create an exciting and fulfilling way for you to evolve or find it. Or you could just slam the 2 weapons together like a caveman. That also works. Okay, so we got a water type, so we just need to balance out the team by getting a fire type and a grass type. For the fire type, I could choose some of the crowd pleasers like Gladius and Demio Scythe, but I'll pick an oddball item that can do more than just hit things with the pointy end. My Cauldron, based on no one's favorite fire-type slime snail Magcargo, is a very rare cauldron of rock and magma that has many wondrous benefits. You can cook items that are placed inside the cauldron, including creatures. You can pour magma out of the cauldron, allowing you to create a stream of magma that can deal damage to foes that step in it. Or you can make it harden into rock to create cover or obstacles. You can also lob balls of magma out of the cauldron towards your enemies, dealing 4d10 fire damage to the targeted creature and anybody nearby them. It's one of the rare items from this list that isn't a weapon, but it just has so many uses that it's kinda hard to pass this one up. There are some Pokemon items that can be worn, like Polismash, Kyogre, and Sknuckles, which is probably one of the best named items from this list. However, since I need a grass type, there's only one grass type equipment item that I can choose. And it has the one thing that itches my great old one fetish, because it has Tanglove, based on the majestic aberrant creation called Tangela, is literally a glove made out of tentacles, and I love it. It gives a +1 bonus to unarmed strike and damage rolls, and it comes with 6 charges, which you can use to cast certain spells like Entangle and Grasping Vine. It's a glove made out of love, but if you prefer it as a weapon, you can evolve it into Tangladius, a short sword that can cast the same spells, but it also turns into a whip. It's like the sword of the creator from Fire Emblem Three Houses, which is one of the many reasons as to why all my videos and house payments keep getting pushed back. I need help.
Let this be a lesson.
Alright, it's time to pick an oddball item. I can go electric and shank someone with the Pikagog, beat someone to death with the Shell Poke, or I could just become an Attack on Titan fanboy with the Magikarp. But instead, I'll just pick the item that best represents me. The Slakoth Evolution line of items are one of my favorite collections from this list. Slakoth is a wondrous sash made out of Slakoth's arms, allowing you to use your action to use one of your hit dice to heal yourself, instead of waiting to use them during a long rest. Vigoroths are gloves that grant you X-23's claws, giving you a +1 bonus to unarmed strike and damage rolls, and gives you an additional 1d6 slashing damage with unarmed strikes. And Slug King is literally Slack King's arm with a stick at the end of it, and it gives you advantage on Constitution saving throws and an additional 1d8 bludgeoning damage to attacks made with this +3 Great Club. But, just like in the games, these weapons are cursed, as they suffer from the turn's ability that their counterparts have. While attuned to Slakoth or Slug King, at the start of your turn, you must make a Wisdom saving throw. If you fail it, you'll spend your turn doing nothing, until your next turn, where you'll have to make the same saving throw again. Vigoroth has that same curse, but instead of doing nothing on a fail, you'll spend your full movement running in a random direction. This can be quite bad, especially if you run into a trap because of your fail. Next, I can't forget to add the staple of any Pokemon team, Eevee and its many evolutions. Eevee's counterpart is Deevee, which comes in the form of a +1 rare dagger. This is a simple weapon that lets you cast the Absorb Elements spell. If this dagger is exposed to the energies of a foreign plane of existence for 1 hour, the dagger will evolve into one of 8 different weapons. I'll quickly go through each of these items, as while they might be different types of items, they are all quite similar, as they will all grant you a special benefit and a list of spells that you can cast with them. Vaporant is a trident that grants you hit points if you're damaged by water, such as from a crashing wave or a whirlpool, and you can cast a Shape Water and Wall of Water spells. Jolteik is a pipe that can paralyze creatures when hit by it, deals an additional 3d6 points of lightning damage with every attack, and lets you cast the Witch Bolt and Chain Lightning spells. Flairbon is a staff that grants you advantage on your next attack roll if you were hit by fire damage or affected by a status condition. This staff will let you cast the Fireball and Flaming Sphere spells. Espeon is a wand that has Espeon's head on top of it. It grants you a +2 bonus to spell attack and damage rolls, and comes with the Detect Thoughts and Mind Spike spells. It's also the only weapon to have 9 charges that you can use to cast spells with, instead of 6 charges. Umbrikujo, which I'm probably mispronouncing horribly, is also a staff that grants you a +2 bonus to spell attack and damage rolls, and lets you cast the spells Inflict Wounds, Death Ward, and my favorite spell of all, Eldritch Blast. Leafka is a spear, and the only weapon not to have their counterpart's ears attached to it. This grants you an additional 10 feet of movement, and lets you cast the Speak with Plants and Guardian of Nature spells. Glaceon is a pike that grants you advantage on dexterity rolls in snowy or icy terrain, and will deal an additional 3d6 points of cold damage with every attack made with it. And you can cast the spells Ice Knife and Cone of Cold. Sylveon's weapon, which I'm not even going to try to say, is a longbow that grants you immunity to non-magical damage from dragons, and lets you cast the spells Moonbeam and Wall of Light. All of these are viable options for any adventurer, but for my team, I'm going to choose Umbrikujo, just because it has Eldritch Blast. It's any warlock's best friend, and their only friend. For my last Pokemon, I'm going to focus on the more powerful Pokemon, the Legendaries. Every legendary from Articuno and Mewtwo to Arceus and Victauchi is here, and ready to be used by the most powerful of players and bosses. Most of these items are artifact weapons, and they come packed with loads of benefits and abilities. You can even find legendary fusion items here as well, like the Sword of the Sea and Earth, which combines Kyogre and Groudon into a +4 artifact greatsword. There are 34 legendaries to choose from, but they can be quite difficult to find and obtain, except for the one I'm going for, which can easily be found in the Kanto region. That's right, even Missing No is here, in the form of the Missing Naginata. This is a +4 artifact glaive that when first attuned, an item of the DM's choosing that is on you will be duplicated 128 times. So, if you want 128 bows of magic missiles or rings of invisibility, you can do that. Kind of. This glaive can also be used to destroy magic items, even artifacts. When you hit a magic item and destroy it with this glaive, the item will explode in a sphere of glitchy energy and will damage all that is within the sphere. The damage, save DC, and sphere radius will depend on the rarity of the weapon. So, if you destroy an artifact, the explosion will deal 20d6 damage, the save DC is 25, and it will hit everyone in a 120 foot radius. That's one way to perform a TPK. However, this weapon is cursed, and you'll become cursed once you touch it. Attacks on you always have advantage, you'll suffer disadvantage on every roll, and your walking speed is reduced to 10 feet. On top of that, any experience you earn while cursed is subtracted from your experience total, which means you'll be leveling down instead of up. This might have been a bad idea, but I'm committed. I've written it down, so I'm committed. I'm committed with this team. It's set, it's ready to go, it's time to take on the world and destroy some artifacts. And with that was the Pokemon Inspired Weapons and Items Guide. Let me know in your comments of your thoughts of these items. Are they balanced? What changes would you recommend? Anything like that. Also, let me know of any homebrew you'd like me to go over in the comments below as well. The link to this guide and to the creators' pages can be found in the description below. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure to like and subscribe for more homebrew content and other things cursed. Till next time, bye.